Class and static methods. Let me create a Python file this time for you to understand. Now you understood till now. There are like variables and methods. In the variables also, there are two things: class level, class variables, and instance variables. Similarly, in methods also we have, so class methods. There is another thing called as static methods, instance methods. Till now, whatever you see on a daily basis were like instance methods. I will tell you all these things at one shot. Let's assume that I want to create a new class for a class called as a robot. You know how a robot will work, right? So I want to create a robot. And if I want to create a robot, how I need to do? I told constructor. I told this is like a typing syntax to say that it will return none. I will tell you the syntax afterwards, but for now you can make it like this. So initially when a robot is created, for the robot, I need to make a name. So I need to have a name. I cannot make it constant, so I should get it from runtime. So whenever you create a robot, you do it like this. So how do you create a robot? So maybe like, so robot1 is equal to robot I create. When I'm creating the name itself, I should give, say like, say Ram. So if I print like, so R1, you can notice the same. Copy path, navigate to the directory, ask. Okay. You can see that when you create a constructor, you can use it. So the constructor is the very minimum basic. So whenever you're creating a constructor, you can just print it saying like, whenever it is coming, you can get it. So at the same time, I want to tell you one more interesting thing. So hope you remember earlier I told like whenever you are creating, at the same time it will get deleted also. If you remember in the last class I told you like so whenever you are working, the delete you are specifically asking. So in interactive mode, until you delete everything, the objects will be alive. Whereas here, if you just execute it, okay, I need to make a statement, right? That I have gone into the so and so. So I can say like, so in deleting the instance, I'm like doing. Now you see what will happen each time. Did you see what happened? Okay, if I comment this one also, so then you will see that what these were the two methods which you didn't execute. They both were executed automatically. So this is a constructor which is executed the moment you create an instance. This is called as a destructor. It is executed the moment you delete an instance. Say if I want to write one kind of method. So define, say hello. I want to say hello. What I can say like, whenever like this robot is created, it will say like, hey, greetings, my master calls me something. If I execute right now, what will happen? You didn't execute this constructor. You didn't execute this destructor. But so this one should be, you miss execute it, else it won't come. So then how to do? So let me do again. So first thing first, I am telling that constructor and destructor will call automatically. And sir, can I execute it again? Of course, it's not a recommended thing. Even if you execute them, they will execute. Then you can see like, underscore underscore del underscore underscore. If I execute both of them, you can notice that what it's saying. Hey, so it needs one positional argument. You cannot pass like this. Means like the same name. If I say name, right? Same Ram. If I execute. Now if you see here, so both are executing, but you are not supposed to execute it. Note should not execute constructor and destructor. And unlike other languages, we don't have like multiple constructors and multiple destructors. We'll have only one. At the same time, for the other methods, we need to give the things. Say like say hello. If you say hello, now you observe what will happen. So initially initializing, then like, so it will print the statement. And finally, are you deleting it every time? Why this delete underscore del is executing destructor? Means once your program is executed, everything will be removed, right? So that's the reason. So you are noticing now, which you are not noticing earlier. At the same time, say I want to create like multiple such things. Say like R2 is equal to another robot I want to create. R3 I want to create another robot. Say like, so sharp I want to create. Now you see what will happen. Whenever a instance is getting created, for every point, when an instance is created, it is creating new things. And by see here, it is deleting twice. Because like, whichever is getting deleted, you can see that. So, say like, dismantling. Myself. Okay. Myself. Self dot name. You see now you will clearly understand. Did you understand? Dismantling myself from dismantling myself sham. So whichever the two created, so those are deleting in the same order in which you created. Say like now I will create, say for I in range of say some 5. So see here I will create the instances. Robot, say like some R is equal to robot of this I pass. So whichever I pass, it will come as it is, right? Now you see here what will happen. So how many instances I created, those many times instantiation is happening. And similarly, those many times it is deleting also. And also how the dismantling is happening. Once the things were done, at the end only it will delete. Say like if I have my, say, last statement. This is my last statement, assume. You see what happens? After you did everything, so after your last statement was done, so you see here now, this is the process of dismantling. Next, so what I want to tell here. Okay, leave it this kind of, so humongous things. So coming back to this, we have like two things, two only. But like every time when you create, you need to have a so population count, right? How many robots you have created. So that's one. If you want to calculate, maybe I'll create a variable called as population. See, which variable we need to create like a class variable means if any variable that should be having a relation with all of them, those are called as class variable. If I create from this template one instance, it will create one robot. But how can you track the how many robots you have created? That's where you need to have a class variable. So then like if you have a class variable, I told you remember yesterday that you can access a class variable inside. If you want to access, you can directly access like this. But if you try to update to this value, it will update only to the current instance. But if you want to update for all, so all the classes instances, then we need to do like this. Robot dot population plus equal to 1. Like that we need to do. If I do right now, it will have a count of all of them. Then how can I see that, sir? Means like if you want to write some, so this is the variables which are pertaining to only that. Similarly, we can also write one more thing. I want to say like, so how many I want to tell. So if I want to work only with the class level variables, then I can use something called as CLS. And so for using this, I need to pass within it. Say like I want to use only the class level variable. So what is the class level variable? Population. So then I can use CLS dot population. Now, one important thing we need to do is like, so it is called as a decorator. We need to say like how many is equal to class method is another built-in function. And like, we should pay like how many. Did you understand what I'm trying to say? We need to write the function like this and also like this. Twice we need to write. So instead of writing in two ways, so they did like what? You can write with a single decorator in the top. So writing in this way also the same thing works. Writing like this class method also same thing. Now see here, class method is one of the decorators. So if you write in this, and here even CLS is not a variable, not a keyword in Python, but you can use anything. But so this is a notion that people are using. So Pipette recommends to use it. So when we create a class method, whenever you're working only with the class level variables. So whenever you want to work both with class and instance variables together, then you can access like a self. But like you see here, if you do like this, it will execute. Okay, I didn't call like how many times I want. Say like, to make the things intuitive, I want to create like better robots. So instead of like this, Ram, Sham, and so, I want to create with something else. Maybe like, I'm coming with some other things. Let's say if underscore name underscore equal to underscore main underscore. I want to create like robots. One is the chitty, so the robo, and say hi. And for that, like robots dot how many. Similarly, I robo I'm creating, say hi, how many robots I have. Now you see it's very clear. I have only two robots. And if you see here, what is happening?
Say dot hello.
Yes, you're right. Say hi. Okay. Now you see here what will happen. Two times instances are created. Two initializations will happen. So then the greetings and so. Then like subsequently every time the count. Initially after creating this, how many are the count? Is one. So we have one robo. So then like we have one more. So count is two robos. So like that you are segregating. So now like so I'm creating one more. Say like I'm creating something like bride something R2D2. If I create now three things, three things were done. At the end of your work, so the dismantling is happening. How the dismantling is happening? In the order in which you give. So first chitty, then like I bore robo, so and so. Dismantling is also happening in the same way. Now, right, at the end of the program, anything will be dismantled. In middle also, if you write like specifically like this, dill, like that also you can write, right? If you do that, you can see that dismantling happens even before your usage. So that's how it works. Next, like this, now we understood the importance of class methods and this one. And let me give you one more example for a static method. So these are all instance methods, okay? Constructor, destructor, everything is instance method. But only difference is, see, any method which has self as an input argument, first argument, is called as a instance argument, instance methods. Class methods will be like this. Then there is one more thing called as static method. So maybe like wish. I want to do like wishes. So wishes is a function which I'm taking. So the moment you call it, say like it will say good morning. Did you see that? Is it using either a class variable or a self or a CLS? Neither of them, right? Or you can do some kind of computation. Maybe like what is the current date you are saying? Maybe like I will take the so good morning. What or is the date time? So date time dot now something I'm doing. I can import the date time. Date time import date time. So see now I am doing some action. But did you see that this method is not having self nor the CLS? So first of all, can I create like this? As no one is asking, it is not wishing anything, right? Fine. Now let's see here. This droid dot wishes I am doing. If I execute, it will throw an error. How do you call it? That's the reason here also same thing happens. If you want to create a class in method which don't take any of them, so we should pass to another built-in function called as static method. And at the same time, as it is a tricky syntax, most of the people will do in other way by passing as a @ symbol, static method. Now you see here, If someone asks you what are the built-in decorators, static methods and this, class method are built-in decorators. And you see right now what will happen. So whenever you are executing, so you are getting the result like this. You see, if I say this content in a better way for you to, okay, so slash n, you see now what will happen. Good morning, so and so, for you to better understand. Did you see that it is not taking self, nor it is not taking the instance? So like this also we can create. Sir, in which cases we need to write static methods means, let's say you want to create like a utility. Say like if you are given two numbers, you want to take the max out of it. Or if you are given two numbers, we want to find the some relation between, some logic. So if you are doing some logic, we need a function definitely for repeated actions. But if that don't take any of the instance nor as class variables, then you can go with this example. Okay. So to give you one more example to understand the static methods and these things together, let me take this example 06. Say, as I told you, there were three types of methods: instance methods, class methods, and static methods. And the default built-in decorators are like class method, static method, and the next one is property, which I will tell afterwards. So to make you a list of what are we have discussed till now, let me create like this. So this is a instance method. This is a class method which takes CLS, right? Apart from that, it will take, if you want, you can take anything else. So this is a static method, which is taking an ordinary variable, but not the self nor instance. So nothing is mandatory. So this is how you have three types of things. And now coming back to these things, how do you call them? Generally, anyone will call these methods with respect to instance only. So no one will be foolish to call with respect to the class name. But still, I'm trying to say that if you create an instance called as A from this class, you can call with the instance.display or like with class also like this. Of course, no one will call as I told you, but just I am trying to say is that this is what happens in the backend whenever you are making a call. Similarly, for the class method also, whenever you're making a call, in the backend, it will do like this. So similarly, for the static method also, you can call either with the class method or static method. Generally, with this second syntax, no one will execute. Most of the time, we will execute in the first one. But still, I'm telling that as because it is one of the things. Okay. So when you're executing, all will work in the same way, in the same fashion. Okay. So there is one of the interview question, which was saying like, if you have, say one more example to say like, if I have a class like this, okay, I have a class variable, right? This is a class variable. Within the constructor, I'm creating. Now, where is there? If you ask with self, it will come one thing. If you ask like just where, you will get one thing, right? You say you are taking self as an argument. First of all, can I define like this? Is a question. Can I define like this?
Self in static method.
So this is one of the entry question which was asked.
Yeah,
So
maybe in static method we don't have to pass self.
exactly. If you pass something, what will happen? So a very tricky question. Here, self is treated like an input argument. Did you understand? Did you see in this case what happened? You took one input argument, right? And you were working. In the previous case, I didn't take any input argument at all, right? Because I don't need anything. So, so static method, if you pass anything, it will take like an input arguments only. In this case, what happened? It is taking it like an input argument only. But you were mentioned like it as self. Now, did you all understand? It is not a self variable. It is taking like an input argument. And did you see what you are doing with respect to here? You are changing the class level variables only. But you are doing with this class so and so and so. This is one of the interesting interview question which was asked. So if you see like here, you create an instance with respect to this, and if you ask the values, what will happen? So py 06 so and so. Did you see? Initially the value is 0 because which were defined in both the places. And after that, did you see that here in the increment, I am upgrading what? Class level changes, right? Observed, very different. If it is a class method, things would have been much different, right? If it is a class method, how people would have done? So if it say like, so increment, same increment in a class method. If you want to do, you need to pass CLS, and what you will do, CLS dot val is equal to CLS dot val plus 1. So don't you think you do like this? And if it is like a instance method, how do you do? Oh, sorry, I need to pass class method decorator, right? Class method decorator. And similarly, if there is a instance method increment, how you do? You take self as an argument and you do what? Self dot val.
value.
Exactly. Self dot val. So plus 1. Now, hope you understood. So this kind of change you can do anywhere. But like so observe that this is a static method. Even if you have self, don't think it's a self. So this is how it works. Hope you understood, friends, what I'm trying to say. So the intention is all about showing you how things works here. In the same fashion, now if I go to the next stage, this is how you understood how the things will be working, what kind of different syntaxes are there, how things are working. Now, the one last point I forgot to tell here is about encapsulation. Till now, you understood about methods, variables, classes, and everything. If I can tell about encapsulation means data binding, right? How you bind the data. If you remember, in the starting class, I told that there is some concept called as name mangling. Any variable, we can start with an underscore also, I told. If you are starting with an underscore, it has some meaning, I told, right? Till now, what are the variables that you are using? If just you define like any variable, I'm just saying where, but you can take any name. So whatever you do, that is called as public variable. And like if you are starting this anything with a single underscore, it is a protected. And if you are starting with two underscores, it's a private. And if you're starting with two underscores and ending with something, some of them are called as built-ins. Let me take a small class, say car. I told every class will have two things, methods and variables and methods, right? So let me show you these things. First, when you're defining the class level variables, I defined three things. Now, did you understand? This is like a public class variable because any variable you can start, but it's not starting with any underscores. So like that. And similarly, you can also define these things. So what is the difference between these variables and these variables? So these are instance related variables, right? And whereas these are called as class level variables. Class variables and instance variables. You understood now. And in the same fashion, you have methods. So of course, constructor. Apart from constructor, so even methods also there. Say within the instance methods itself, I'm saying. So did you see that this method is not starting with any underscore? It is starting with a single underscore. It is starting with two underscores. And similarly, now what is the point of going for these things, sir? So we should understand, right, why things are happening. And I'm telling that the oops in Python is slightly different from the oops of other languages. This kind of public, protected, and private were created. So in Java and C++, such that whenever you are inheriting from one to another, so it will not overwrite or you cannot access it. So it's like access restriction. That's the main purpose there. Whereas here, to avoid accidental overriding, we use these things. I will tell you what is the purpose and how it works. Okay. So initially to see, if I create a car, like, C1 is equal to say car. It's not taking any input, but fine. And this DAR is a built-in function, right? CAR of so and so. If I execute, I say CLS and PY 07 so and so. You can notice the list of all attributes. Hope you can see the list of attributes. It has a lot of things apart from these things. Okay. Some of the things will have underscore, some of these things will have two underscores differently. And also, there is something called as vars, right? Vars is another built-in function which will give only the instance related things. And if I can focus on these things, you can understand. Maybe instead of an ordinary print, I will do what? P print. Import PP. If I say like PP. Now you can notice that. What is saying? B underscore car B. I told like vars will give only instance related things. What are these things? We define three things. But it should say like B, right? But did you see what it's saying? B underscore B, and the private variable is called as underscore car B. Means though you define directly, when you're accessing, you should not access directly. That's all the point. Means, so whenever you are having these two things, public variables and these things, you can access directly. So the class level variables and also the instance level variables, the same thing. So whenever you want to access a private variable, you cannot access directly. If I say like, if I try to access a private variables, these things like this, then it will throw an error. So the private variables at class level variables or instance level variables, whatever might be, if you want to access, we should prepend the class name to it. So means like, instead of like that, we need to do here, see here, underscore car underscore a. This is for the class level variables, how I defined, how I accessed. In the same fashion, if I now go for the next one, instance level variables, the underscore b so and so, which are I'm telling right now. So they also, whenever you are accessing, we should access like this only. You see now, if I say like same C, if I create like a C, you can access that. Did you understand what I'm trying to say here is that, okay, if I can ignore them, you'll understand here more clearly. If you can understand clearly what I'm doing, wherever you have public and protected, however you are defining, you're accessing the same way. Only the problem comes when you're accessing the private things. If I can see here, the private class method. So, if you define two underscores, you cannot access with two underscores. We should prepend with the class name. Similarly, instance variables also same thing. So the same way. Similarly, even the instance, so methods also same thing you need to do. So instance methods are there, right? You see how I do execute. Instance method 2. So car underscore so and so. How I'm maxing, you saw it. This is how we do it. So what is the advantage of it means like, if you do like this, so it will help you to avoid any kind of accidental overriding when you're doing next inheritance. I will tell you what is inheritance there. There you will understand. But there is one advantage. One point is that within the class definition, we can do the changes. Means if I create like an ordinary method, some other method, within that I can directly access them without having any prepending. So see here, I'm accessing directly, right? Underscore instance, underscore car. So within the class definition, you can access directly like this. But after creating a class instance, you should access in the particular way. Hope you understood what I'm trying to say. So based upon these things, let's go for the next one, called as MRO, means method resolution order. Why I'm telling this as a big thing so that you will remember.
So Uday, I have one question that
Yes, please.
Yeah. So when we do have to use the like public, protected, and the private, is there
Yes,
any? Yeah.
yes, it's a good question. So whenever you have multiple classes, so and like if you don't want accidental overriding, and then in that case you write. If let's say there are two classes, so now I will tell you what is the actual usage of it. When you go to inheritance, you'll understand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if I go for like inheritance, what is the purpose of this and where it is really useful, right? Now we are coming there. There is something called as inheritance, single inheritance. If I can tell like, what is inheritance? Inheritance means what? General language. You inherit the property of your parents. You inherit the features, or like you inherit the genes of your parents. So these are inheritance, getting from them. Without you doing anything, you will get certain things. So those are like this inheritance relation. We call it as like parent-child, super subchilds. Base and derived class, like that we do. The simple example I will tell for this is that a typical example, what most people tell is about, you have like an account, created a class, an account. This is treat like super class or parent class. Any class is called as parent class if it is not inheriting from anything. So it has a constructor. Initially, it is taking a balance of 0, subsequently depositing and withdrawals. Hope you know these things, right? So we have already done. And if you create an account and if you ask the values, it will work. If you check also, it would be fine. If you see live, you can understand that. You see now how it worked. You got the values, balance equal to initially 0, and subsequently if you want to add, you get the values. If I ignore the things which are underscores on either side also, I have these attributes. But fine, created an account and fine. Now with this account, I want to create one more thing. This time I want to create a minimum balance account. So class minimum balance account. So whenever I'm creating a class, you know what I do. If I want to create a class, I just create a class, that's it. But for the inheritance concept, you in the braces you pass the another class name as an input. If you pass another class name as an input, then what are the features it has, everything will come to it. So if you say like pass, you know how it works, you see. So if you say like I want to create another account called as b2, I want to do like a2 is equal to so and so. Now if I execute, you see what happened. The constructor was created, and if I ask, hey, what are the vars of it and dar, it should also give, hey, balance equal to 0, and all these attributes should come by default. Did you see that? I didn't create an instance from the parent, from this child class, minimum account balance. It has all these attributes, right? Even though I didn't do anything, it got it. How it will get? Because the moment you inherit, everything you'll get. But the most important point you need to remember whenever you're doing this inheritance is that we need to honor the instances. Means in the constructors, in the parent constructor, in the parent class, if there is a constructor, we need to ensure that was run. So how do you execute your parent class constructor? This is how you execute it. If you have a parent class, we can execute like this. So now it will find. Now still it has an attributes. Let's say I am doing like account. Say account 2, I created an account, right? And I wanted to do a deposit of 100. And similarly, like so a2 dot withdraw of some 50 I want to do. So what is the balance means? So someone should say like define. So current balance of self print of f of. So I got all the attributes, and if I ask like a2 dot current balance, if I ask, I can just ask like, you can see it will show the balance. If it is too much noise, I can just mute it. You can see that now. You see here? Or like if you want to do in whatsoever, you can see. The balance is 50. So maybe like, for every step you can ask. So initially, what is the balance? And like subsequently after depositing, you can ask, hey, what is the balance? And similarly, after withdrawal also, you can ask balance. So every time it says, what is the balance at the time? Fine. So minimum balance account means what? Maybe you want to maintain the minimum amount, right? That is what your expectation. So how do you maintain the minimum balance account? Minimum means like, say you want some amount to be placed, say minimum 500 or 100 or something. So then how do you maintain that? So when you're creating this, when you're doing a deposit, it's fine. But when you're doing a withdrawal, you want to limit it. That's what minimum withdrawal balance means. So we need to have one more method for that. So I do like withdraw and I do it. Did you see what happened? So it is a code which is coming automatically for me to help you. So there is, if you want to access the parent class attributes anything, even the constructor you accessed earlier, right? That also can be accessed using this super dot underscore underscore init underscore underscore dot self. So either you can explicitly tell the account name because that is the input parent, or like you can do like this. Either is fine. In the same fashion, here also, what I'm trying to say, I wrote a class and I'm telling that, hey, use the parent one. Instead of that, you need, if you don't write also, that same thing will happen. You see what will happen? It will execute. What is saying? Account takes, so one input, so you need to pass it. Okay, yeah, I passed it. Yes. So either you do account dot self of so and so or super of init. Both will work in the same way. What is the super built-in function means? It will understand like to whom to go. So it knows the parent class is only account. It will know how to go. So in the here also, what you're trying to say, hey, go and execute the parent classes once. Did you see? And now the question is, if parent is also having the same withdraw method, child also having the same withdraw, which one is executing? And if I say like, to show you child withdraw method, if I do like this, you can understand what will happen. Did you see that child withdraw method was executed? And from there it is showing. Means if the child class has some instance methods or variables, those will be preferred. If we don't have, it will go to the parent. Okay. So in this, now I want to do one kind of logic. So I want to do the same logic of whatever is happening. At the same time, I want to make it smart. So what I want to say, like, if the balance is equal to so and so, if the balance minus amount is less than 100, then please maintain the balance and you cannot do it. Else you want to do a withdraw. So don't you see that I created a minimum balance account now? I made smartly the use of these things. So instead of writing like account dot so and so, I can do super dot so and so. You see now what will happen? So initially you created a balance of 100 and after that you want to withdraw 50. The minimum balance should be like 150, right? So it is not allowing you to withdraw. Hope you understood this one. Yes, friends. Now let me tell you what is this concept of MRO and how you can understand this concept. So this is called as MRO, means like method resolution order. So you have defined two classes and both are having the same methods. And so you want the extra features apart from the parent, that's where you did. So in that case, and similarly, if parent and child both having the same method, obviously what will happen? Only the child method came, right? What if both parent and child has the same method name, but you want to access both the methods? In that case, we need to have private methods. Sorry, private methods. Did you all understand the problem? So if parent and child have the same method name and you are creating a class instance from the child class, then it will have access directly only to the child class methods only, right? It cannot have access directly to the parent class. Indirectly you can access within them, but directly you cannot access. If you want to access directly some things, so in that case we need to make it as a private, such that if the same name is there in all the classes also, we can access individually. Hope you understood now. Now let me tell you the point about this method resolution order. Method resolution order means if you create any class and after that if you ask this method resolution order, you will understand that. Maybe like, I want to make something so that you can understand. So account is one class we created and minimum balance account is another class I created. Two classes I have. For the both the classes, I want to print this underscore underscore MRO underscore underscore. For the first time you're doing this thing, but let me show you to understand. Ignoring the first things I had, and you can see these things. Did you see that when I did for this one class, what I got? If I can place here, it's easy for us to understand. You see? So the current class name is like account. This is part of the main, means the main program. So, and it is having another object as object. Means, I told you, remember, for everything will take object as a inheritance by default. In Python 2, to make it like a new state class, we explicitly write. In Python 3, we don't write. Even if you don't write, all these things will go to the object in the top. Okay, assume that object is the base class. Think like that. In the same fashion, if I go here, one more thing is there. In this class, see what will happen. In this class also, you have a minimum balance account. And when then it will have the account, then it will go to the object. Sir, what do you mean by all this nonsense? Means like, whenever from these classes, if you create an instance and you are accessing any method or a variable, it will check in this order. First, if you create with a minimum balance account class, that's why it is checking in within this class. Hey, do you have this method? If it is not having, then it will go to the parent. If it is not having, then it will go to the parent. That is what happens even if you use built-in functions like, format or anything. How they are going? So in this way only, this object will contain all the built-in related things. So hope you understood the concept of how things are working. Similarly, so not only this, we can even customize our so day-to-day things like, so if I say like, 03, if I take a single inheritance, if I have like, so class, I want to create my custom integer, say custom int. I want to take the int and I want to do the customization. Now, if you see like, generally, if I take like ci is equal to custom int, I can create like this. And if what are the values passed, I want to use that. So you can pass. This is also one kind of inheritance only, right? We are taking. If I take like, ci and ask like, hey, what is the type of ci? You can understand CLS and Python 03 so and so. So you created a custom class and you want to do what it is saying. It is of type main.custom int. So now I'm checking like, so I got some value. So what is the default value? Did you see? Whenever you're asking what is the value of CI, what is saying default? 0. Did you assign it as a 0? It is a property of integers. That's the reason it got it. Now, CI is like something, right? If I add like 3, what will happen? I get a result. Because it is an integer, we can do that operations. Else we would have not done these things. If I say like, custom string I want to create, I want to take str and I don't do any actions, but still like, custom string if I take is equal to custom string. If I do, and if I ask, hey, what is the value of custom string? Of course, integer is a 0 that you can see. String is an empty, you cannot see that. But just to show you that like how things are working, if I can do like, Python is a strictly typed language. If both are not same data type, we cannot do additions, right? You got it? whatever you placed, you get everything as it is. Means like it is an empty string. So like that, you can take like a custom, say like, so custom bool. So what are the built-in functions, built-in types you have? You can create like this custom built-in boolean. Is it like, so custom boolean you can take. So by default boolean, what is the boolean value? Default boolean value, it is false, right? So what is saying? Bool function, it's not taking. So bool is also type integer, right? Yeah, forgot to tell. Bool is also type int, to say at the base level. Maybe like I should take something else. So similarly, go for something else. You can try other data types. So try other data types. Boolean is not working, but others you try. So don't you think like you can create this kind of customizations? And now let me take one more good thing here. For all these above things, I want to take like CA dot C1, sorry, CI dot underscore underscore MRO. Sorry, MRO underscore underscore. If I execute and ask, see, it is not having an MRO, method resolution order, because custom data types, right? So they didn't create it. Underscore underscore MRO. It's not there. It's not there. So similarly, so let me try for the others also. Means like they have a predefined order. That's why they are not writing any MRO. No MRO. So that's what I understood. So only when you research, you will understand certain things. And similarly, if I go ahead and say, so one more example. I have like two classes. I want to do some kind of inheritances. Say I take one more example. Is time inheritance. So I have created one class, like a base class. I told, right, this inheritance concept we relate with different ways. Parent child we call, super subclass we say, or base derived class. What are the names you say? You see, in this class, you have three attributes: public, protected, and private. So within the class definition, we can use directly, right? There is no problem. But outside, when if you want to use only, you should follow the proper way. Now let's say I created an instance from it and I'm working on it. 04 so and so. Did you see that? You got three values. So what are the values are there? For those you got results. Fine. Now, in the same fashion, I created one more class called as a derived class. Whenever you are creating a class called as derived, and you need to take that base class as a input. So then only it is called as a derived related. So, and when you are relating, I told that we need to ask the parent class to be called, right? Any attributes. So parent class we can call directly, but the constructor if you want to call, this is how is the best way. You can also tell like base dot underscore underscore init. But like if you do super will take care of like based upon the method resolution order where to go. At this moment you have only one parent, so directly it will go to the parent and execute. So whenever you have any derived class, and if you have its parents class has some constructor, ensure to do it. If parent has class don't have a constructor defined, then there is no point of doing it. If only if it is has, you should ensure to follow it. Then subsequently, if you are creating a so instance from it, say like d is equal to derived. If I create, and if I say like d dot display, did you see now here? Here you defined a constructor, but this display method was not defined. But still you can access it. And if you can access it, you got the values, right? So self, and observe carefully now, interesting point. You can access, that is okay. Then what values you will get, I will tell you. See here. For the first things you had like 1, 2, 3. For the second thing you got like 4, 5, 6. And observe carefully, very, very interesting. This is the most important thing. For any class, when you define, what are you defined, only the same things will come, right? You see here you defined 1 for private, 2 for public, 3 for public. So sorry, like that. So what are you defined as it is 1 to 3, you got it. Similarly, here you defined 4, 5, 6. But when you are asking, did you see what you got? You got 1, 5, 6. Did you all understand what is exactly happening here? Yes, friends. So when you are accessing, did you see what happened? If the parent and child have the same private method, private variable, and we are passing to the constructor, so the constructor will have the values. And did you see what is the value of it?
Yeah, it is a class.
Yes, parent class value. So that's what I want to prove. Okay, so parent class. So this is what important whenever you're working on. And let's say, what are the real world examples of it? So one of the real world examples, like these things, I would take like, if you want to create a custom exception, even, whatever is a class, we can use that. Exception. Hope you remember exception we wrote. So we are raising like an exception. Hope you remember. So raising like an exception. This is error. Hope you remember we did a raise of exceptions. CLS and PY 05 so and so. So whatever you get, it executes, right? Because exception is a class. So like that, if you want to create your own class, say I am working on some polling booth and I want to create my own exception. Say class invalid age. If I want to create, I do like this. You see, even if I don't do anything, now if I execute further, hey, raise invalid age. So your age is less than 18 to vote. Now you see what will happen. I created a exception like this, custom exception. So, and if you want to add some kind of features to it also, I can do that. So whenever I'm defining, so I can do like this. Maybe like I will comment it for a moment to show you instead of like this in a better way. So when I'm defining itself, I'm passing an argument and I'm passing an age. So till now you are just using the built-ins. You are using pass, pass, pass. You are not modifying it, right? For the first time, I'm doing like this. So how it actually works means like I define a math function called as validate age. If the user is passing some variable, so I'm using a protected. So protected, anything can be used. There is no proper perfect documentation to say that when to use public and when to use private. But most of the time what happens is like outside, if you have some variables in the functions and methods also, classes also don't pass the same variable. To make it like better, so you can use a protected. So generally the most convention is like within the class definitions methods, they use like protecteds, and outside the access like a private, public. Whenever you feel like something is common, there is no proper boundary for that. Now, if I take like the example of this one now, if I say like this, I am asking the user to enter the input. Based upon that, he is doing a validation. So then like if the exception is coming, they're handling the exception. And then like you are getting the out. This is how a typical program is there. Now we see what will happen. It is asking to enter. I have 45. You are able to do. I gave like 56. You are able to do. I gave like 4. Hey buddy, you are still young. It catches this exception. Whenever you are passing, see here, you are raising an exception. Instead of just raising an exception, I'm raising with a variable. So I know, right? Any class, when you create an instance, this is how you create, right? Here they are creating a class instance only. And this is how you create a class instance. When you're creating class itself, for self arguments, whatever is there, you need to pass. It will create it. So whenever it is creating, all of them you can access in the error. Did you see error.age? Hope you understood now how these things are working here. Now, if you see the method resolution order of this thing, method resolution order of it. So even invalid age is like a custom thing. So for this, you can see, if I say like, so 4 or what or might be, did you see it has a method resolution order? What all things it has, if I can list out here, you can notice it. Invalid age means if you are asking for any of the method or a variable with respect to this class instance, it will first check in this method, in this class. If not in the exception class, if not in the base exception class, means exception has a inheritance from it. If not from the object. Did you see how things are working here? Yes, friends? Fine. So like this, you understood what is the concept of inheritances. Now, if I can go ahead about the multiple inheritances. What is this concept of multiple inheritance? In fact, languages like Java don't have the multiple inheritance. Python only have this thing. What is this multiple inheritance? Same like what you do think did now, but the slight difference is that you can have 2 or more parents and one child. Means within the same child, you can have multiple parents. Say like I will tell one parent. I wrote a parent class. Say my parent and say my parent. So two parents are there. Now, if I say like class, child, so till now you're doing what? Only one parent. Now I pass like two parents. This is how you do it. Now, if at all I create a child, say if I'm doing a child instantiation, say, so as I did like both my parents and my child, here also I do like my child, and you do instances. And for the chi dot underscore underscore mro underscore underscore, if I execute right now, cls and py06, oh sorry, why I'm calling every time like this crazily. So previously also I think I did the same mistakes. I should not call with the instance, I should call with the class name, right? I forgot. See now you got the things. If I check now, you can understand that. Yeah. So first it will check in the child. If it is not there in the child, it will go to the first parent. And if it is not there, then it will go to the second parent. If it is not there, then it will go to the object. So why this ordering is happening? Because you have created like this, right? In the same fashion, what if you define like the second parent first, then followed by the first parent? Now this order will change. You see the second one, you will understand the difference. You see now, first it is going to this child. If not my parent 2, because my parent 2 is defined first, then my parent 1, my parent, then the object. Did you all understand the method resolution order, how things are working? So now for this concept, let me enhance the same example with one more example instead of, so war crowding it. So let me take the same example again and help you understand. So in the same example, to make the thing simple for you, I'm removing like too many things and trying to help here. Within the parent, say like I created some variables. Say parent one class variable, and similarly parent two class variable I created. So if there are like two class variables within them, so in the child, so you can just access the things. Similarly, parents don't have any constructor, so you need not ask. But what if parent has some constructors and some values? This time I am taking like this. Within the first parent, class variable, and I created a constructor. I am taking two arguments, two variables. So by default, they are 0. I'm not taking anything in the class constructor input for signature. So ordinary method, some addition functionality I have. In the same fashion, second parent also has some more things. Similarly, here if you see, Second parent also has a constructor, say same hello and subtractor. Now, did you see what is common between the parent 1 and parent 2? Can you tell me? If I can list out.
Yeah, init and hello, two method are same.
Yeah, obviously, constructor is there everywhere. Everywhere it will happen.
Hello
But we can ignore
method is
that.
same.
Hello method is same, but parent has a addition. So, and this parent has a subtraction, which are not there in this other things, right? Now, if I take like dir of ch1, we are creating a class from whom? The child. So if you ask individually the parents, they will have those attributes, but child will have a summation of all of them together. What I'm executing, I think I'm executing the wrong program. Python. Yes. If you see the things, you can understand that. You see, if you ignore the things which have underscores on either side, the child is having all of them together, right? So if I say focus on only the things which have don't have underscore on either side, this child is having addition, which is from the first parent. Hello, we don't know from which parent. We will examine that. Then number 1 and number 2, which are from the first parent, because here you define, right? In the second parent also you define both variables same only, but you got it. And the class level variables, what are is there, and fine. So totally you are getting all the features in this class 2. That's what you understood. Now, if I want to do some kind of logic, so based upon that, if I want to do addition and subtraction, of course, addition is present in one class, one parent, and say subtraction in another parent. It will execute perfectly. You understood. Now, let me do the hello. If I execute hello, what will happen? Will it execute from the first parent or second parent? That is what interesting. So hello is present in both the parents. In the first parent, logic is hello parent 1. In the second parent, the logic is hello parent 2. Now, if I execute, I will get what? Hello my parent 1. Hope now you understood what is the beauty of MRO, method resolution order. Why my parent 1 came? Because, so how the order is, I am telling again. If the child has that particular thing, it will get from child only. If the child don't have a method, then it will go to the parents. In which parent? First it will check in the first parent. Hey, do you have this method? If it is pras, it has. If the first parent don't have that method, it will check in the second parent. So it is executed. So my parent 2. Now assume that, so even your child is also having the same method. So in that case, like see what will happen. Say I am having like this. Say, okay. You see, now in this case, first parent, second parent, and child, all three were having. I told you, right? If locals are having, locals will be preferred. Did you see what happened now? When child is having, child is preferred, right? So whenever you are feeling like something will be common, so in that case, you can make it as a protected or something private. So minimum protected is sufficient. If you go further, you can go with private also. So like that, if I say hello and with the hello with the protected in both the ways, now you can see like if I ask just hello, the parent will come. If I say like hello the other way, you got the other things. Hope it's fine. Now, so for this child, if I ask like MRO, like method resolution order, as I told, so you understood till now. That's what happens. Hope you now understood what is the beauty of method resolution order, how it works, and all these things, right?
So here
Yes.
like
Yes, please.
see, in the output my parent 1 print is coming, right?
Yes, yes.
So
Because
is there, it's public, that's why?
no, here that's not the concept of public or private. Leave about that. What I'm trying to say, you got parent 1 because, so first it will check in the child. Do we have a variable called as hello? No, I don't have a hello. I have underscore hello in the child.
Okay, got it.
Then it has gone to the parent.
Okay, so there is a no underscore, that's why it's execute first, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And similarly, like this, this is an inheritance, right? Inheritance means you take the attributes of the parent class and you execute together. In which case we use inheritances means when you want to reuse the code. So instead of rewriting the code multiple times, you can reuse it. Similarly, there is one more concept called as composition. So though it is like out of syllabus for you people, but like it just I'm trying to tell. So till now, what will happen is that you create like say one class and you have a class instance, right? Let me take one example. So here I'm taking the example of a rocket. So for that I create a constructor. I'm doing a launch method. If I execute it, it will execute the instance and you can get it right. If I execute it and then fine, if I say like L dot launch, it will execute. If I print like, if I execute it, you can notice that 08 so and so. So it will launch. Fine. So till now, what you know, whenever you are defining any function, you pass within the function, right, as an argument. So as an argument, you pass the parent class. That is inheritance. Whereas we can do the other side also. Instead of passing directly, so we can do the other side. You can do in this way. Means what I'm doing, I am making a instance call and passing this as an argument to it. Sorry, as an attribute. Did you understand the difference now? Earlier, what you have a parent class, you inherit that, and you use the arguments as it is. Whereas now, what you're doing, instead of inheriting, you're taking it as part of one attribute and using it. So this is one of the design pattern. Composition is one of the design pattern where people use like this. If you use like this, you can directly access like an attribute instead of having all the attribute values like this. If I comment on this one, you can notice it. See here, what is happening? So whenever you are passing, you pass all the values, what are is needed. You see here, it needs these two arguments. That's why apart from these two arguments, you define three here. So it is just like another design pattern where you access the values. So till now you access the values in one level, right? Now you are accessing in two levels. So just as you came here, I'm just showing you that this is one of the design pattern, just to make you be aware. And also in the inheritance, MRO, did you see that for the Mars rover camp, which is this one, there is no MRO, right? There is no point of rocket here. Did you see rocket is no more there in the inheritance things? Sir, in which case we need to go for this means, if you don't want these features to be there everywhere, and if you want to be like a part, so you can go for this kind of things. And also here, the most important thing that you need to be learn is about the method overloading, overwriting. If let's say, hope you remember I told this example very clear. If I say number 1 is equal to 100, and again if I say number 1 is equal to 200, what will be the value of number 1? 200, because that was the latest value, right? It will overwrite. In the same lines, if I write like a class, in the class, if I have defined two methods, one method with 2 arguments, one method with 3 arguments, if I have defined, then what will happen? If I create a class, so I create a class instance, so I just want to call. First of all, will it allow like this to happen or not is the question, right? Of course, Python will allow. And if you go to the modern language like Go language, they don't even allow like you to define. So now it allowed you to define. Then after defining, say if I am passing an argument, say function with one argument. So which one will execute? So the argument with one argument or two arguments. You see now what will happen? Execute. It will throw in error. What it is saying? Hey, missing one argument because it has overwritten the previous value. So if you ask, hey, what are the attributes of it? And if I say like, DAR of M, you can notice that it will have these values. Okay. And if I ask the help of this M, help is a built-in function, right? You can ask, did you see that it is showing a function with one argument or two arguments? Yes, it showed two arguments, right? Means the latest one was overwritten. So then if you pass like with two arguments, so it will execute pretty well. So if you comment this also, it will work perfectly, and it will execute with two arguments. It works perfectly. Now, in the same fashion, if I do the things in the vice versa, in the other side, means like if I do the function in the reverse way, say like I define the same function, and of course like this object is not mandatory, and no more people use it. And if I define this like first this second two arguments, then like a one argument. So then what happens this time? If you define the same thing like m2 is equal to my class, and you say like help of m2, you can notice that, did you see in this definition it has only one argument defined? So that's the reason if you ask like the same thing, the first one argument one, it will execute perfectly. But if you ask the two arguments one, it will throw in error. Oh, sorry, I need to do m2, right? M2. And similarly, if I say like m2 dot, so my function of same Uday, so if you say 28, if I execute, it will throw in error for the second one. So this is what is about method overloading, sorry, overwriting. Whenever you have the same method, so if you are doing like this, it will do a method overwriting. To avoid this, what should we do? So if these both methods are defined in the same class, we can go for a default method. If both methods are defined in separate classes, you can go for a, so this kind of private methods. So there are two cases in which overwriting happens. The case one is what? Case one is when both methods are in same class. Go for default args, right? You see here, if you want to facilitate both, one of them you mark as a default. This is how it works. And in this case two, what? Case two, when both methods are in different classes, use as private methods. If you do private methods, so both of the functionalities will be preserved. Hope you understood what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Yes. So like this it will look. So the second one you take as assignment for completing it. I think you need to define two classes. So you write like edition 1, edition 2 in one method in one side, one method in the other side. Hope you can do on your own. So hope you don't need me to do again, right? This one you can try. In the same fashion, there is one more thing called as operator overloading. What is this concept of operator overloading? If you see the concept of operator overloading, means if you ever seen the concept of this plus and so, this concept is called as polymorphism. It's called as polymorphism. This is one of the hook functionality. If you take the example of plus operator, did you see whether you're doing addition, subtraction, multiplication, in all these cases, so the next one is like MO, so polymorphism. So polymorphism, even like so this overloading and so these two parts also comes under them only. So we can do that here. So and like method overloading, you understood the concept of like operator overloading. So what I'm trying to say in operator overloading is that we have a built-in operator called as plus. The plus works differently in different scenarios. The concept of polymorphism means the same thing should work differently in different situations. When you are using with numbers, it acts as an arithmetic operation. Whenever you are using with strings, it's a string concatenation. With lists, it's a list concatenation operator. So of course, Python is a strictly typed language, right? You cannot do with different data types. So when you do with the tuples, it acts as a tuple concatenation operator. But it doesn't work on strings and sets. But you know these things are there, right? So this is how this operator overloading works. Okay, sir, so like these operators, can you do this kind of plus and minus operations on my class instances? So that is where you need to go for something called as magic methods. This is very, very interesting things called as magic method dot py. So what do you mean by magic methods? I think I'm creating an instance. Okay, 03. What do you mean by magic methods? If I can give the examples of one more thing, say same 03 magic methods.txt. What are magic methods? They do some kind of magic. That's why they're called as magic methods. What is the magic they do? You to understand is that if you see, so till now, what are the operations we are doing in real time? Hope you remember in the starting time I told everything is a Python is a object-oriented programming. So you do a plus b, indirectly in the backend it will happen a dot underscore underscore b add or b. Hope you remember. So if I do a minus b also in the backend it will do like this. If I do a multiply b also in the backend it will do like this. Now don't you think like all these days you are working with classes only? Though you are not just creating a class, indirectly you are using the class kind of so variables and methods and all these things. That's what I'm telling from the starting day, that you are in a object-oriented programming. And what is this concept of overloading means? The same thing. So this operator will overload like this. Means in the backend, so it will do. Now we can implement that kind of things in ours also. How do we implement? I will tell you shortly. So let's take the addition example of, initially the addition dunder methods. These magic methods are also called as dunder methods because like double underscore we have like double underscore. That's why we call it as a magic dunder method or like double underscore. It is starting with the two underscores, right? Ending with two underscores. That's why it has some meaning I told. So those are called as dunder methods or magic methods. Let's take the first one example of a magic method. So if I take again the example, you know what I told? Number 1 is equal to 10. If I say number 1 plus number 20, what is happening? And the number of and so and so, both are exactly the same. If I do the assert, means like if something is wrong, then it will throw an error, right? If it is not throwing error, it means like everything is good. And py04, so and so. You see now? Both are exactly same. You get the same answer in both the cases. Fine. Now after this, if I create a small class called as like a person, the person is taking two names. One is the name and the surname. I'm taking two attributes and defining it. This is fine. Now, if I create like a person, say like a father is a person I created. And if I ask, it says, yes, this is a father is a person. It is when I'm asking to print, it is saying I'm part of main dot person object something. Okay. Similarly, if I'm asking for mother, when I'm printing, it will say like, hey, name underscore person so and so. So how can you uniquely recognize both of them, whether it is a father class or a children class? You don't know, right? Whenever you are printing it, so it will happen. So, okay, I will tell you shortly about that. So if you have like two things, like father and parent, you can add them also. If you want to facilitate like father plus mother. So either you do underscore underscore plus or like this, it will happen. But it will not work at this moment because it don't have an attribute, right? So either you do directly plus operation also, it will not work. what is saying unsupported operators. And if you are asking like this, it will say like, so I don't have that attribute. So both are right now not facilitated. To facilitate that, I need to define underscore underscore add underscore underscore of the self. So whenever you're doing, so it will take like the other one, and you don't do any operation, but like at least you define that. Now we see both will work. And as you are not returning anything, the result is none. If I say return something, so no matter what I get, I will return something. Now you see what will happen, what you are getting, what are I defined, right? The same thing. Now I will do something in a better way. So what you are trying to say, so whatever the name you get, you want to do some kind of operation within it. Means if I get the other person's name I am taking, surname I am taking, and this name I am joining. Generally, when father and mother comes, so mother will get the father's surname. So like that you get. But of course, this is crazy. Everything is coming like an object, what we can see and understand. So this is the main problem. For that, there is one more method called as underscore underscore str and underscore underscore repr. So first I will tell what is this underscore underscore repr. So underscore underscore repr, if let's say I display. So whenever you are displaying anything, say I'm doing some logic here, say printing self of self dot name, self dot say surname. I'm doing like this. Now you see, now it is much more clear for you to understand. So what is happening here? What are the name I'm getting? I'm displaying, right? String returned a non-string object, it is saying. Oh, it is because like, you should not print it here. We should return. REPR every time should return a string only. That is a mandatory. Now, did you all understand what's happening? Is it clear? So instead of you returning like this, maybe you can do as much better things as you wish. I can do a much better things, dot title or something. So whatever I got, right? Maybe father name, so father surname, mother name, mother surname. If I add both of them, finally, both father and mother will get the father surname, right? Just I want to take a simple example for you to understand. Hope you understood. Now in this example, I showed you two things. REPR. So whenever I am doing a print statement, this REPR is executing. So these kind of things we don't directly ask, indirectly it will happen. Whenever you are doing a print, it will check for that underscore underscore REPR and print it. Similarly, so whenever you're doing underscore underscore end, it will go directly to that. Now, did you understand? Now, two dunder methods are two, this kind of methods you understood. Similarly, you can go for, so one more good examples. Say like if I go, say like, yeah, it's a good example for you to understand. So if people who are coming from like C++ or something, they can understand here more related. So in this example, see here, you see here, I created a underscore underscore left shift, underscore underscore R left right shift. So these things, it will take one more argument and you need to do the operation. Means very simple. If you define your own method name, you need to explicitly call. If you define like this, they can be called with instead of these operators. You see, when I did a left shift and right shift, instead of doing them, these methods are being called. So it means not everything is needed for you in real time. But whenever something is needed, you can make use of it. So going back, similarly, so there is one more thing, like, if I go for, yes, just now you have seen REPR. In the same fashion, let me give one more example, say 6. There are two things I told till now, that there are two functions called as REPR and the other one is str I told. Both are, to be frank, for the string operations only, but they slightly differ. So if you want to go further, let me give you an example. So I have given one thing like this. Say I defined like my problem is a class. I defined some things. and I'm doing REPR. I defined it. Now what will happen if I define, say, print? It will execute. So if I execute in this one, CLS and PY 06 so and so, did you see what will happen now? So it is executing. If you have passed 50 values, it will take it. So whenever you are printing, in the back end, it will executing all the values. It getting all the values and printing it here. Did you all understand what's happening? And for this particular operation, what if I'm just defining like string? What if I'm defining like a string right now? If I define like a string, what will happen? Hope you understood what happened. So whenever like note, so print will call underscore underscore str if present, else underscore underscore repr. Did you all understand? Print and repr are two things. When are you doing it will happen like this. Okay. So and if you for both print and repr, if you want to do the same thing, underscore underscore str underscore underscore is equal to underscore underscore repr. This is a real world example. People will use like this. Sir, then in which case this will be used? In which case the other things will be str will be used? So in which case like repr will be called automatically? Whenever I'm doing a raw representation directly, means like f of, have you ever seen like, p1 is equal to like this? If I assume that both are there, okay, for a moment, if I'm commenting this, you observe that what will happen. So in the first case, it is going to this one. When you're just printing this, it will come like this. Hope you understood. In the second case, it will go to the REPR. Means REPR will come. So whenever you're doing a computations, so STR will come whenever you're doing display. That's why they call STR is for human beings and REPR is for machines. So if you are overwriting, so for both the things, it will use the same thing. Okay. So for both the things, so it will use the same thing. Fine. Now there is one more problem here. Whenever you're doing REPR, so things are coming like very clumsy, right? So to address this problem, there is one more module called as, for that, there is another module called as REPR lib. So whatever the values you are passing, just you need to pass to this module called as REPR lib. That's it. The same method, same calls, that's it. So now did you see what happened? To better handle this, how it is doing? Instead of displaying all the values, it's just giving like 5 values and giving an entry, right? Just for you to better understand here, see here. In the second case, when you're doing REPR lib, instead of displaying all the values, it is just showing like this. If you just next go to any of the frameworks, in the backend, they use this REPR lib only for you to better understand. So that is how, if you want to printing something, so whenever you're printing, you don't want to print. Next, you learn about databases like SQL Alchemy, when you work with large data and so and so. So if you work with pandas, that is another thing. These are all using the REPR lib only in the backend. That's why when you have large values, instead of displaying all the values, they will say this is a series and stop after that. So REPR lib is just for representation. Say coming back again, this STR and REPR. So different cases we have. Whenever you're doing formatting, also you go like percentile, like this formatting and so and so. In those cases also you use it. So somewhere I did a mistake. I need to see that, but it should be fine. So some indexing it is saying. So the same thing, it should go 0 0. Yeah, it is expecting 2 values. It has like only 1 value, right? Yeah. So if you pass like 2 values again here, it will work. Yes, it will work. So if I just define without a position, so I should pass 2 values, right, explicitly. If I don't do that, so that's how it works. So like that, it will work. So the last things about is about the context managers and others. We can take it in the next class.